क्या
गोला क्लिक नहीं हो रहा, और गोला
क्लिक करना
क्लिक करना।
अभी तक तो कुछ शुरू हुआ ही नहीं, तो अभी से क्यों क्लिक करना है?
स्क्रीन आएगा,
हाँ वो कर लेंगे,
ये स्क्रीन आएगा,
वो कर लेंगे ना, ये वाला शेयर कर देंगे।
ओके ओके,
इस टाइम में ये दिखा देंगे।
और इसमें
मतलब
आपको मैम अगर वो इंटरेक्ट करना है तो इससे करते हैं।
ओके ओके,
हाँ अभी आ
अभी
रहा
आ
है।
गया है।
हाँ तो अभी ये रहने दीजिए मैम, जब 10:40 हो जाएगा आप स्टार्ट कर दीजिए, तब तक ये वाला दिखा देता हूँ।
और मैंने नेरीवालम का वेबसाइट भी खोल के रखा है, ये वाला।
आई थिंक ये वाले बेटर होगा क्या मैम?
ये वाला
नहीं नहीं पुराना वाला क्या मैम?
नेरीवालम।
हाँ क्योंकि ये इस आइडिया में नेरीवालम क्या होता है। हाँ आ गया, इस लाइव मैसेज भी आ गया, वेबिनार और नेरीवालम एक्शन इस लाइव।
ऐसे लिखे
आप अगर बेल आइकॉन और सब्सक्राइब कर दिए तो आ जाता है।
आपने सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया क्या? नहीं
हाँ सर वो यूट्यूब में शेयर कर देना सब लोग, तो हम लोग उधर बात कर किसी के वॉइस से आ जा रहा है सर यूट्यूब में। हाँ यूट्यूब में भी लाइव हम लोग कर रहे थे, तो हम लोग तो इधर बात करते किसी की माइक से, वो यूट्यूब में भी आ जा रहा था, हम लोग का बात हो रहा है, इसलिए सबको मिल कर
हेलो सर, kindly put up on NERIWALM. Dr. Askar Nawab will be talking today on online. I just yes, I called him twice, so he's not picking up. So I just want to. We are about to start. Yes, it's yes, sir. We put his event at 11, 12.
भाई साहब नमस्कार।
Yes, sir.
नहीं सर अभी तो नहीं मिलेगी, बस स्पीड पोस्ट से कुछ टाइम तो लगता है 4-5 दिन। ठीक है जैसे ही मिलेगी मैं आपको बता दूंगा। अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा
सुनो बनेगा सर any problem है सर अगर
क्या है?
इसका वाला है
कितना है ना? क्या करेगा? इसमें है ना?
तो 10 हो ही है मैं तो आप उधर से बुक हो जाओ
Hello, good morning, sir. Sir, our link has been opened. So, any problem with your site, sir? Any technical problem? So, sir, yes, sir, I am. Yes, sir, I am giving the phone to our technical assistant, so he will advise you. Sorry, sir, saying something.
हेलो गुड मॉर्निंग यस ओ ऑप्शन है अपना दिमाग साइज है अपना डेस्कटॉप हटे हो जाएगा इनका प्रोड्यूस लो मैडम सब दिख रहा है तो ठीक है मार्क कर देगा ये वाला सही है हमने सही है जो खराब से नहीं है ये जो क्लास में मार्क दी आइडिया हो स्टूडेंट्स को ज्वाइन करने के लिए स्टूडेंट्स को आप कर दो कितना ओके ये काटो ना और ये तो नहीं मांग दी ओके ए जो ईमेल आईडी दीजिए ना No, sir, I told them he didn't pick up, sir. He didn't pick up. Later we can. Oh, sir. Maybe.
Should we start? 10:40 हुआ है. Should we start? Screenshot कर देना. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Morning, madam.
Okay. I want to know whether our director Pradeep Kumar sir is presently putting on the video. Sir, kindly unmute your video. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, I was on a call actually from High Court. I was getting a call. Sorry. Yeah, now fine. We can start, I think, isn't it?
A very good morning to all the participants of this webinar on the wetland action for people and nature. I thank all the participants for registering themselves. So we already got something more than around 60 people registered for this program, and these people belong to the engineers, academicians, NGOs, and other stakeholders. They have come from all over the country, starting from Jammu and Kashmir to Kerala, from Gujarat to West Bengal, and all the northeastern states. So it's a good representation from all the states. So we would like to welcome all the participants and all the resource persons who have agreed to share their expertise for this webinar, and I hope we will be enlightened with the knowledges shared by our expertise or resource persons during this webinar. Before I go ahead, I would like to request our director, Dr. Pradeep K. Bora, Director NERIWALM, to give the introductory address.
Thank you, Dr. Victoria. Am I clear? Dr. Victoria, am I audible? Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Yes, sir. Audible. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. Once again, I would like to welcome all of you for one of the most important webinar. Rather, I should say, webinar on one of the most important topics. Wetland action and action for people and nature. First of all, I would like to introduce ourselves. Those who do not know about NERIWALM, I'd like to say that NERIWALM is Northeastern Regional Institute of Water and Land Management. It is something like a WORLD of entire Northeastern region. And then we have been started under Northeastern Council, which is under the Ministry of Donor now. Of course, initially we started under Ministry of Home Affairs because the NEC was under Ministry of Home Affairs. From 2012, the NERIWALM has been taken over by Ministry of Water Resources, River Development and Ganga Rejuvenation of India. At present, we are a fully funded body under the ministry, and we are implementing all the capacity building programs under the ministry for entire Northeastern region, including certain consultancy works and research works related to the water resource development and management. At the outset, I must thank our Honorable Prime Minister for declaring the entire year as a year for Bharat Ka Amrit Mahotsav year to commemorate the 75 years of our independence. With this program, we are remembering our heroes who fought for the independence of the country. And to commemorate all these things, we are celebrating very important programs And this today's wetland song for people and nature is considered to be one of the iconic programs that we're observing to commemorate that Bharat Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So once again, I welcome to everybody to this Amrit Mahotsav program, and in this occasion, we are really grateful to those heroes for whom we are now living in an independent country, in a democratic country. Well, I'm personally not a wetland person. I have not worked in wetland, but as an agricultural engineer, as the importance of water bodies, I have always studied one thing, that wetlands are much important for flood control and rather the runoff storage structures. So it is much more than that, of course. As we know that today's program, 2nd of February, we are celebrating as a World Wetland Day. It is an important day because 51 years before, in the Ramsar, around 75 countries signed an agreement and considered all the internationally important wetlands as a very important ecosystem, and then all the countries started taking action to preserve, conserve, and then to develop those water bodies for the benefit of the nature, not only human being, its entire ecosystem. And then from that Ramsar, 2nd February, we have completed 51 years. So initially, India had around 39 Ramsar sites recognized, but at present we have got 47 Ramsar sites. And of course, Ramsar sites are recognized depending on not only sizes, but depending on various other criteria, because it has to be internationally important also. It has to also house certain migratory birds and important species of birds and other aquatic animals. So these are the many conditions are there to recognize the Ramsar site. In the northeast, we know that there are 3 Ramsar sites that we have recognized. One is Deeparville and near Guwahati. Many of you who have come to Guwahati perhaps crossed the Deeparville. And then another is Laptop Lake, and the third, which is later on added, the Rudra Lake of Tripura. So these are 3 Ramsar sites. Apart from this Ramsar site, there are thousands of water bodies in the northeastern region that we all know. Specifically, I must say as a layman that whenever our people go to the fish market to buy fish, we get 2-3 options. First, the fisherman will ask you whether you like to have the fish from Beel. Beel means those water bodies. In Assamese we call Beel, B-E-E-L, those water bodies, or river, or fisheries. So obviously we always prefer the fish from Beels because this is the most tastiest fishes we get in the northeastern region. And importantly, those Beels, they are home to certain important catfishes. So we are really very fond of those catfishes. And this is one of the aspects that I'm just telling you. But otherwise, the Beels are, you can say, or the water bodies are not only the home to those important fishes, these are important ecosystem, part of the entire water resources. And unfortunately, I must say that the Beels or the water bodies are never included in the policy aspect of water resource management. But recently that NERIWALM is working on that specific action plan for water resources. We are trying to include all these water bodies as important water resources because these are not water source also. They are also, as I have already told you, that these are flood controlling or water conservation structure. So it moderate the floods, it store the flood water. That is why we have concluded them as important water resource in the state-specific action plan. Just imagine the Loktak lake is not there in Imphal. Also imagine that Bhopal lake, which is serving around 6 lakhs people, water is not there. Because we, the people, in the name of development, we are squeezing them, we are engrossing them, and as a result, that all the water bodies, around, particularly around the peri-urban areas, are now getting smaller and smaller, and we are really not realizing at this moment that what we are going to lose or what we are going to face in the coming years. India has now nearly 7% of the actually wetland had around 7% in the entire globe, not India, of course, but India has around 2 lakhs of water bodies which are having 2.5 hectare or more in size, and around 5.5 lakhs of water bodies which are having less than 2.5 hectare. So these are very important water bodies, as already we are repeatedly I'm telling you. And just another aspect I just want to highlight that it has been now already proved that the Kashmir flood that in 2014, which was devastating one, and we lost a lot of human beings, lives of the human being also, also a lot of properties. So that 2014 flood was basically occurred due to lack of the runoff storage in Kashmir Valley. Actually, Ular Lake, which was having around 20,000 hectare water spread area, has been squeezed to around 2,400 hectare only. So just imagine that we have reduced by 90%, almost 90% of the water bodies we have reduced in the name of development. And then where the runoff water will go? Earlier the Ular was storing all this water coming out of that kind of flash floods or any rainfall, heavy rainfall, but now there is no storage. Also another thing repeatedly people are telling that in Guwahati, particularly towards the Hotel Ginger, that all the water bodies has been now encroached because of the development, because of this construction. And as a result, we have lost many water areas which otherwise used to store flood water. Now Guwahati is also facing recurring flood, and we all know it's not only, I'm giving the example of Guwahati or the Kashmir or the Srinagar. Everywhere we find that because of that we are losing the size of water bodies, we are particularly facing a lot of flood problem all around. And another aspect I must say that India has already lost, actually from 91, statistics says that from 1991 to 2001, India alone lost around 38% of water bodies. So one must remember that water bodies is not only water bodies. They are much more than that. They are home to many important aquatic animals, many important migratory birds, and then also one most important thing that we must recognize that all water bodies are very important inland carbon sink. We all know that ocean and the sea, they are the #1 carbon sink. At the same time, we must recognize that the inland water bodies are equally important carbon sink, and as a result, those water bodies have very important role in climate change scenario, and then we have to preserve them. We have to think about it once again, that the water bodies, if we conserve them, if we develop them, obviously another way of controlling the climate change is another option is available with us. One study says that around 0.4 ton carbon per hectare per year is possible to sequester. The carbon sequestration is possible for 1.4 ton per hectare per year. And at the same time, near the water bodies, particularly in coastal area, the mangroves are there, and they are also very important carbon sequester. And around 1.5 ton carbon per hectare per year is supposed to be stored by those mangroves. And also, it is found that the soil of wetland has around 200 times more carbon than the terrestrial soil. So we can understand from these statistics that how important ecosystem service those wetlands are giving to us. So I'm not going to say much on it, because we are eagerly waiting to listen to our experts. I welcome those experts, Professor Arun Kumar, who is from the Department of Arts Science in Manipur University, Dr. Asghar Nawab, who is a program head of aquatic ecology with the International New Delhi, and another expert engineer, Prantar Bhagavati, who worked both in personal as well as official capacity in the wetland, and we are really eagerly waiting to listen to them. Once again, I welcome those experts as well as all the participants, and specifically I thank those experts that from their busy schedule they could find time, and then they agreed to collaborate with us and to address you all people and to give us much important knowledge on wetland, so that we together can work towards the development, conservation, preservation of the wetlands. And with these words, I welcome once again everybody, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. For wide publicity and dissemination of knowledge, we have used this webinar, we have linked this webinar with YouTube, which is going on live. So I take the permission of the resource person so that this is linked with the YouTube, and we can, those who have not registered or those who have not joined the link, they can also see in from the YouTube. So it is going live, sir. The first speaker is Dr. Arun Kumar, Professor, Department of Arts and Science. It is always a pleasure to hear deliberations of Arun Kumar sir's lectures, and sir has done lots of important issues of Manipur, maybe conservation of Loktak, or maybe landslide, or maybe its watershed, or many others. So I welcome Dr. Arun Kumar sir to deliver the topic on the conservation of wetland, a case of Loktak Lake. Sir, please.
Good morning, all of you. Dr. Victoria, can I share my PowerPoint on the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
I think the permission. So, can we see the screen here? My PowerPoint?
Yes, sir. Very much.
Yes,
We can
sir.
see the screen, sir.
Okay, thank you. I would like to convey my gratitude and thanks to the director NERIWALM, because who has solved our problem, because one of his vast experiences, he has already delivered a very nice lecture on wetland, and on the occasion of the today's 2nd February and International Wetland Day, we will be having this webinar, and it is quite useful. I may not say that I am an expert of these issues, but whatever knowledge I am having it, I will be sharing with the participants and with the resource persons. And this will also give me another opportunity to interact with this group from the NERIWALM. I will just give it in the presentation mode so it will be better. Yeah. This is actually the Loktak Lake. I have taken it from one of the newsletter of the Loktak Development Authority, and as the Dr. Bora has already given a very, very nice enumeration that the wetland are really famous for the eating of the fish. So you can see that how the child is so happy to pick up the fish from the lake. Now, everywhere we have one saying that wetland are ready for developing. That means the land will emerge and people will use it. And when we become conscious, when the land become almost desert, so we go for rehabilitation of the desert, but we are not taking care of our wetlands. That is actually, it is not in Manipur or in Northeast or in India, it is a worldwide issue. So people are not serious about the protection of the wetlands. I think we should really take some oath from today that we will think scientifically, we will have a social campaigns so that at least the wetlands should not be developed. This is the famous wetlands. So I will be talking something about the Indian side, because our director Saab also has given a brief idea about the Dal Lake also, and about other lakes also in Bhopal also, and nearby over in the eastern region is Chilka is one of them. There are life of the people, the ecology, everything is related with the wetland. So we cannot actually forget the importance in our daily life about these wetlands. And in 1971, this Ramsar actually, it was a convention of the wetlands. So wetlands are the areas of marsh. Sometimes we don't bother it. Fen, peatland or water. So whether natural or artificial, permanent or temporary, with water that is static or the flowing, fresh, brackish, salt, including areas of the marine water, to the depth at which the low tide does not exceed 6 meters. So this is actually the definition has been proposed by Ramsar Convention, and accordingly most of the wetlands in our country that has been classified means they will be coming under the action of the scientific and other rehabilitating measures. Let us see something little bit in a watershed style, because most of these wetlands they have a source from either from the river or from the streams, and these rivers and streams, they are actually forming as a watershed, and from where the water is gradually coming up, and now you can see the stages of the wetlands. We can see the bogs also, we can see here the vernal pools also, we can also see here the wet meadows also, then we'll go for the marshes also, then swamps also, and finally we get the ponds. So these are actually the ecological component of a wetland. So the people who are encroaching slowly because of the overpopulation pressure and claiming more and more amount of land, so many socio-economic aspects are there. There are economical situations are there. So it's not that we are going to ignore the wetland, but sometimes the need is like this. Urbanization is expanding. So many factors are there. So these things are being neglected from the industrial development. This is actually the issue. So this is a freshwater wetland. So in principle, the rivers are there. They have a watershed there, and after that, when they are coming down to the plain areas, you will find these type of situations. And after that, finally, the wetland is created. Now, a very important part is this: why they are important? Because the wetland are most productive ecosystem of the world, because ecosystem is a very important phenomenon for us, because it is not only the matter of fish, but it is the matter of the life. Plant life is there, animal life is there. All these things are jointly making it the ecosystem. So some of them, they call them as a kidney of the planet because of their energy dissipation and purifications. When we talk of the South America, that is the in the Brazil, so Amazon River, actually it is almost the kidney of the entire planet Earth. So I think few years before you must have heard also about the fire and other hazards which has come down, and so much of loss of the species, faunal, floral, everything people have seen it. So the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment estimate that the wetlands cover 7% of the total land area, and they deliver the 45% of the world natural productivity and ecosystem services. So we can see that a particular land use unit which is covering 7% geographical area, but its productivity is terms as a 45%. So even if we have a small wetland, we cannot ignore it, because we see that at least 7 times, 6 times more than its geographical area will give us the productivity. So this is why the wetlands are important. Our directors have also told us briefly, but I am just giving you a little bit elaborated part. So despite of these benefits, the wetlands are the first target of the human interference. This is actually the problem, because of the human interference, because of our omniness, because of our more conscious animal. That is one of the reasons that we are always trying to interfere with our natural ecosystems. So the most threatened of all natural ecosystem, particularly the wetlands, are one of the I'm just I'm just trying to do this. Something happened. I don't know.
Again, start the slide, sir, because someone again shared the slide. That is the
I think that may be the reason. I'll just do that. No problem.
Sorry, sir. By mistake, sir. Sorry, sir.
Good, sir.
By mistake, I have shared the screen. I have insert the screen, sir.
It's all right.
Sorry for the disturbance, sir.
It's okay. So around now, can we see our
PowerPoint? Sir. By mistake, sir. Sir. Okay, sir.
So now around 50% of the Earth wetlands are estimated to be ready to be disappeared from the world. That is also a very important issue. In the beginning also, our director also talked about this. From 91 to 2001, so many wetlands have become disappeared. So the full value of the ecosystem functions of the wetland is ignored in the policy making plans, corporate evaluation of the development of the project. This is actually happening it, and I think we are responsible for this. So today I think we should try to have a good oath that we should try to look back to this wetland issue, because it is a very important part. India has got as much as 38% of its wetland in just a decade between 91 to 2001. This is real problem which we are facing it. Now, first cartoon I showed you regarding the wetland, how it comes. Now we can see that how the wetland works. So you can see the situation of the wetland. This is actually wetland is there. We have a contaminants and sediments. They are getting filtered here. Then again, dissipates the stream energy because the river is coming here somewhere. It is a halt, and after that, slowly the outlet is going on. So every wetland has got this type of connectivity, either from the rain shed or from a stream, or from sometimes the magnetic river like Brahmaputra, which were having some of the meandering systems. So by that, some of these meandering loops can become the beels or the wetlands. So this is the situation now. They have got connectivity with the groundwater flow also, and in the back they are having a saturated peat store of the water, that is actually the carbon sequestration or the carbon sink, which is getting it. Just like see, the wetland also is having a saturated peat stores. And from here, the slow release of water, the slow release of the stored water is taking place. So this is actually the mechanism of a wetland. Now, with these type of system which are connected with the hydrology, with the soil, with the surface geology, with atmosphere, everything is being connected with the biosphere. Now it gives you provides a critical wildlife habitat. So every wetland has got a unique storage of a particular wildlife or a particular type of species, which is always unique and characteristics of a particular wetland. In the Rokta case also, I will show you what are the things are there. Now, a breathtaking from the wetlands rules, because it's not that the government is not serious about it. The government of India also, on the national as international level, a lot of measures have been taken place, because as we know that, you can see the three small photographs. Sometime this is actually the particularly at the case of our Roktak is there. Then here you can see that it is the place host for the migratory birds also are there. And there are many other socio-economic, religious, cultural, so many things are being taking place, particularly from the wetlands. So wetlands are the vital part of hydrological cycle, as we have seen it in the last slide. Highly productive, support exceptionally with high biological diversity, and provide a range of ecosystem services.
Sir, an interruption, sir. We are not seeing the PPT, sir.
Oh, I am really sorry. Really sorry. I was thinking that it is showing once it was coming. Let me share. Just I will share my screen. Is it okay, Dr. Victoria?
Yes, ma'am. Now it's visible, sir.
Oh, so I am really sorry. I am really sorry. I thought I have shared it earlier. Should I take back little bit, one or two more, or back, or it is okay?
So it's okay, sir. So please carry on, sir.
Because I actually wanted to just give some idea about this.
Yes, sir. Sir, this is important, sir.
Yeah. I could realize that, because the participants, they would like to definitely know all these issues are there. So I just want to explain you that how the wetland works. So now you can see that the stream is coming here, and because of certain reasons, the water is becoming stagnant, and after that, the water is moving very slow again to join in the stream. So this particular wetland which has been developed here, what you can see that it has got a groundwater connectivity also, flow is there. Then again, it is a bacteria breakdown contaminants that can be stopped here. And here at the bottom of the wetland, with the water the saturated peat store water. So what we are thinking about the ocean, they are the carbon sink. Likewise, all the small or the bigger wetlands, they are also the carbon sink. Now, from here, the water is coming with a good velocity, but when it comes to the wetland area, the water is almost with a stagnant tendency. And here, the contaminant and the sediments, they are slowly getting filtered. And in the return, they provide a critical wildlife habitat. And slowly from here, the water is already getting filtered in, because the carbon and other materials are sinking down, and the water is again getting purified and joining the stream. So this is actually the most complicated work of the wetland in a natural process. So wherever any wetland is there, definitely you are rest assured that the remaining part of the stream will be having a very clean water. Okay, so that part, this is actually the mechanism we are going to have it. Now I am trying to show you, these are some wetlands. So what we are really thinking of the wetlands, this is the migratory birds which are coming out for few months here. Maybe some of these fishing nets, and this is also on the boat, also the fishing nets are there once you are in this is the case of the Loktak Lake. So here we will have certain wetland applications. So therefore we have the wetland rules in 2010 it has been framed. So they are the vital part of hydrological cycle. They are highly productive, and they support exceptionally high biological diversity and provide a wide range of ecosystem services. So what are the ecosystem services? Just like our municipality services, they do the waste assimilation, water purification, flood mitigation, erosion control, groundwater recharge, microclimate regulation, aesthetic enhancement of the landscape, while simultaneously supporting many significant recreational, social, cultural activities beside a part of cultural heritage. So this is something which is really is such a big asset to host a wetland. Sometimes you might have also seen that the artificial wetlands are also being formed, but the natural wetland, they have got these type of heritages, and this will be useful socially also, commercially also. So many issues are there, so we definitely try to conserve these things. Now another importance of the wetland, it is a water supply system. So drinking, irrigation, industries, commercial, navigation, hydropower, so many things we are imagining from the wetland. If the wetland is there, then you can have these many applications, these many necessities can be totally depending on a wetland. So I'm just giving you an example. About 2 lakhs farmers depend on the Vimbenard Call wetland in Kerala for the irrigation. About 6 lakhs people depend on the Bhopal lakes for water supply. Loktak Lake is the reservoir for the Loktak hydroelectric projects, which produces about 110 megawatt of the electricity. It is a very unique system in the Loktak Lake. And food in the form of fisheries, rice paddies, aquatic plants, Kamal Kakli, Nadru, Mekhana, Singhala, so many things, they are actually the production of the wetlands. And uniquely, the Loktak Lake provides the livelihood to about more than 1 lakh fisher folks. That means the 1 lakh fisher folks, which they are involved in the fishing, at least everybody will be having about 5 or 6 persons. So you can well imagine that 5 to 6 lakhs people are depending particularly on the Loktak Lake in Manipur. And similarly, the Chilka Lake also provides livelihood to about 2 lakhs people. So something around 10 lakhs people are depending on the Chilka Lake also. So this is something which is an industry which is being run by a particular wetland if you are going to conserve it. So it will give you not only the life, but it will also give you a lot of other benefits which your livelihood can be improved, the livelihood can be maintained. Now the wetlands have a special cultural value as they are related to the religious and cosmological beliefs, constitute a source of aesthetic inspiration. Aesthetic things are very important for the humankinds, animal kinds, because once you see a beautiful landscape, definitely you will think positive. Once you see a desert, definitely you will feel negative. This is the difference between a wetland and a desert. Now, the total economic value of the unconverted wetlands is often greater than the converted wetlands. So this is actually a very important thing, that if you are really going to interfere it, definitely economic value will definitely be much better. If you are converted, then it will be reduced. You see, this is actually the Kashmir Dal Lake. And this is a lotus stem being harvested at Dal Lake. It is being used as a staple food also there. This is so Moritri. This is actually in Ladakh, and you can see that how the religiously people are worshipping the lake. And this is the salt-resistant rice in the Vemnad coal wetlands, particularly in the Kerala, because they are going to cultivate the salt-resistant rice. Sometimes it is being used in many of the cultural programs, feast. This is actually the fishing in the Loktak Lake, particularly famous lake in the eastern India and one of the largest freshwater lake. This is the Karinka wetlands in Odisha. You can see that you'll see all these mangroves are also there. So mostly the roots of the trees are coming exposed for their biological needs. So that is also one of the wetland. Now, first part, what we are talking about, the importance of the wetland. So, water purification and detoxification of the waste, how it happens, how we are going to learn it, and what is the role of these wetlands here. Let us see that. So, wetlands and in particular marshes plays a major role treating the waste. Natural waste wetlands, riparian wetlands means which are coming out with the rivers, reduce the nutrient load, okay, by removing the nitrate and phosphorus from the surface and from the subsurface. So you see that the river water which is bringing all these things can be settled down at the wetland and water get purified. As I was explaining you in this small cartoon. So it is how it is being done. Let us see this. Some wetlands have been found to reduce the concentration of nitrate by more than 80%. Then East Calcutta wetland, also a Ramsar site, they are remarkable example of the sewage treatment by the wetland ecosystem. So the unique thing in East Kolkata, I think most of us must have been seen all these things in Kolkata also. And the constructed wetlands are being used in several places to treat the sewage ecologically. So this is something which is very important. How the water get purified because of the wetland. You see some of the examples like this. We just not talked in the beginning by our honorable director regarding the Kashmir flood in 2014. And you can see that the wetlands plays an important role in the flood control, because if the wetlands are properly conserved, there will not be much difficulty of the flood water. In Manipur Valley, we have experienced that even frequently if the floods are there, rivers are very small, so their carrying capacity is also very less. So most of the water it goes down to the Loktak Lake from the upper part of the valley, northern part of the valley, because the Loktak Lake is situated in the southern part. So this is the way in which they are controlling or regulating the floods. So wetland helps lessen the impact of flooding by absorbing water, reducing the speed at which the flood water flows. Because the flood water, this is the real difficulty by which we are having lot of losses. During the period of flooding, they trap the suspended solid and nutrients load, and they are considered to be a natural capital substitute for the conventional flood control investment such as dikes, dams and embankments. So this is something where we are really going to have lot of benefits if there is a chances of the floods. And as you know that during the climate change regimes, the frequency of the floods also have been increased. You can see that the situation of the meandering river, this is a meandering river, and in between you are having so many wetlands have been developed here. Now, another thing which we are also thinking about the wetland utility will be the mitigation of the climate change. Although the wetland area is very small, although it will contribute a unit in the spectrum of the climate change, but definitely it plays a very important role. So sea level rise and increase in the storm surge will result into erosion, increased salinity of used trees, freshwater aquifers, alter tidal ranges in the river changes, all those things which are being controlled by the wetland. So wetland as mangroves, usually near the sea we are having mangroves and floodplains. They play a critical role by buffering the climate change impact. A study on the Parikansia mangroves ecosystem in Odisha, the second largest mangrove forest in India mainland. Otherwise, we are having, but in Odisha also we are having a very large mangroves. Estimated that the cyclone damage avoided was the highest in the was protected by the mangroves. They were actually hit by the cyclone every year. So the mangroves in Odisha, they are also giving the protection of the losses. So loss incurred per household was greatest in the village that was not sheltered by the mangroves and lowest in the village that was protected by the mangroves forest. So this is the situation which we can really see the importance, particularly of the climate change issue, particularly of the your cyclone type of hazards when we are getting it. Now the cultural services also they are going to play here very nicely. The wetland provides significant aesthetic, educational, cultural and spiritual benefits, as such as the vast array of the opportunities for recreation and tourism. So this is actually in the mitigation of the climate change, we can have these issues are here. You can see the condition of this wetland, how if it is not protected in the future, definitely the land will be developed and the people will, initially for a few decades they will be very happy, the soil is fertile, but later on they will be facing the crisis.
इससे होता है क्या?
Now, they are also the climate regulators. This is a very important issue to understand in the climate change part, because in this much of global issues, when we talk of the climate change, definitely we must have some small contribution which can definitely regulate the climate change. So one of the most important role of the wetland is the regulation of the global climate through sequestering and releasing a major proportion of the fixed carbon. This is one part. Then wetlands sequester C through high rates of organic matter and decomposes. So wetland soils may contain as much as 200 times more carbon than its vegetation, as you have seen that in the cartoon also. And the carbon sequestration potential of the restored wetland over the 50 years period comes out to be about 0.4 ton per hectare per year. This is actually the finding of the IPCC 2000. Mangroves are able to sequester about 1.5 ton per hectare per year. Drainage of the large areas of the wetlands and their subsequent cultivation at many places had made them a net source of carbon dioxide. And coastal wetlands, they are playing a major role in the carbon sequestration. So people have done some investigations, and after that they are coming out, since we are identifying them as a climate regulators. This is the habitat for the biodiversity we can see of the wetland. So you must have also experienced that the Gangetic dolphins, gharial, swamps, crocodile, black naked crane, so many things are there. They are actually the biodiversity of the wetlands. You can see this here. These are all wetlands. We are going to have it, the biodiversity of different kinds. So if the wetlands are not being managed, definitely this life, they will definitely vanish. Now, this is actually the ecosystem services provided from the wetlands. So one is the providing food, then another one is regulating the climate, then again will be the cultural part, and then again the supporting the soil formation and nutrient cycling. I am not going to go for much detail because it might take some more time, but as we know that the provisioning of food, fresh water, fiber, fuels, biochemicals and genetic materials, all these things the wetland provides. And climate regulation, we have seen it also. Water regulation, we have seen it also. Either it is a quality of the water, or it is a hydrological part, or if it is a flood part. Although we can see that even the pollution part, pollination as well as natural hazard regulations also, we can able to see that. So the regulating part is like this. Then the cultural part, as we know that, spiritual and recreational, aesthetic, educational, all those things are there in the cultural services, and they support soil as well as nutrient recycling it. So these are the shopping list of our services which is being provided by a wetland. Now, when we come to the Indian context, so we will have about National Wetland Atlas. It has actually been surveyed by Space Application Center ISRO Ahmedabad, and they have almost given you about 2 lakhs or more than 2 lakhs which are covering about 2.5 hectares land, or about 5.5 hectares, less than that 2.5 hectares. So what actually is meaning is this: the wetlands in India, either small or bigger, they have been thoroughly mapped by the application of remote sensing by the ISRO in Ahmedabad Space Application Center. And total wetland area, according to this survey, is about 15.3 million hectares. That accounts for nearly 4.7, or we can say 5% of the total geographical area of the country. And under this, inland wetland accounts for 69%, coastal wetland 27%, and other wetlands, that means which are smaller than 2.25 hectare, is about 4%. So the inland wetland is about 69%. So we are more concerned about this, but we are also concerned about a small wetlands, because these are also a very important part for a small locations, particularly in the eastern region. We are having too many small man-made wetlands also are there. They are being used as a water, as a food. So many things people are using it in the eastern part of India. Then in terms of proportion of geographical area, Gujarat has got the highest proportion, about 17.5% of the geographical area. And unfortunately, the Mizoram has got the lowest proportion of the area under wetland. Mizoram, because of the hilly terrain, the wetlands are not much there, and not being properly managed also. That is one of the reasons, that because of the, definitely they will be having some other alternative system for their requirement. Water spread area of the wetland change over the seasons. Sikkim, Nagaland, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Jharkhand, they have more than 90% of the total wetland area as the water spread area during the post-monsoon period. So best area for revival of the wetland will be the post-monsoon area, where most of these wetlands are full of the water, and they start rendering their natural services. So this is actually the classification made by the survey here. So these are the wet code is there, then wetland category is there, inland wetland natural, inland wetland man-made. So we can see the number of wetlands here. It was a very, very tiring survey which has been done by Space Application Center Ahmedabad. It started from 2003 and ended in about 2016. Many state governments also participated in this survey, and the data is very, very standard type, and they have already compared that how much of the area has been reduced of the wetland. So anybody who is going to get it this type of wetland atlas through on the websites of the ISRO, you can definitely get a good statistics about it. And in a map of India also, we can see that the state-wise, the distribution of the wetlands, we can see it here. So there is none of any state is there in India which does not have any wetland. Most of the states, because most of the states, they are drained by the fluvial system, by the river. So definitely the wetland are available there. Only thing is that how we are going to make our sincere effort to conserve these wetlands. This is the Ramsar Convention on the conservation of the wise use of the wetlands. So actually this convention of the wetlands signed in Ramsar, Iran in 1971 as an intergovernmental treaty which provide the framework for national action and international cooperation, conservation and wise use of the wetland and their resources. So I think the people, some of the participants, for them, it will be a good thing. This name is a very interesting name. We call them as a Ramsar. Okay, so this was coined, and then everything was done in Iran, because that is also a drought-prone area is there, and people have thought that how we can go, how we are going to, because wherever the rivers are flowing, wetlands are there. So definitely in a different agroclimatic conditions, you will be having either the wetlands are getting reduced, or either that it is not being properly managed. So therefore, importance, it is an international importance of the wetlands. Now, the mission of the Ramsar Convention was that the conservation and wise use of all wetlands through the local and national actions and international cooperations. It's not that Manipur or NERIWALM, it is an international collaborations we are going to take up. The sky is open for us, and we can have a lot of collaborative things in research, in actions, in conservation. So many opportunities are available nowadays. So as a contribution towards achieving the sustainable development throughout the world, under the 3 pillars of convention, contracting the parties commit to work towards the wise use of all their wetlands. Number 1 pillar. Second pillar, the designate suitable wetlands for the list of wetlands of international importance. That means they must be listed in the Ramsar list, and ensure their effective management. And third pillar, cooperate internationally on transboundary wetlands. There are many wetlands are there on the international boundaries, so definitely the 2 countries can come across, and they join the collaborative things, so they can share the wetland system and share the species also. This is a very, very holistic part which has been designed in the Ramsar Convention, and it will give us an opportunity not to work in our own place locally, or we can start from local and we can reach to the global issues, particularly for the conservation strategies. Funds are there, technical manpower is there, knowledge base is there, data is there. Only thing is that we have to take our own initiatives for the conservation. Now we go for little bit thinking about the challenges are there in the wetlands. Lot of issues are there. We talk about many things across the table. So we'll see that what are certain issues which can come and how we can overcome it. You can see the situation of this wetland. So the world has lost about 50% of the wetlands in this century, according to the SECON India, and India lost about 38% of the wetland from 91 to 2001. In some district of Gujarat and Rajasthan, the rate was as high as 88%. It is because of the lack of the precipitation, because the precipitation is very less. Sometimes 200 millimeters, sometimes 250 millimeter rain annually. So how the wetland will sustain? So the main challenges include hydrological changes, reclamation, encroachment, pollution, loss of habitat and species. This is actually some of the natural manner in which if the precipitation is reduced, if the drought is there, definitely the wetland will start getting dyed. So hydrological changes, we can see that because hydrology is the most important for any of the water issue, whether it is on the wetland or whether it is on the watershed. So hydrological changes are there. So most wetlands are related with the river system, are impacted due to damming, water abstraction, and another thing is also there, the no EIA, environmental impact analysis on the wetland has been carried out, because we have seen a long list of various size of the wetlands. So definitely EIA for each and every wetland is not possible. As I tell you, because we are all people in the scientific communities, we know our scope also, we know our energy also, we know our funding also. But definitely some of the bigger wetlands, we must have some environmental impact analysis, so that we can make a management plan of a particular wetland. Even Ramsar wetlands are not spread from this fate, because the wetlands who are listed in the Ramsar conventional list, they are also facing problems. So wetlands like Renico wetlands, then Kilodao Ghana Sanctuary, Upper Ganga Ramsar site, Nal Sarovar Bird Sanctuary, Loktak Lake, Chilka Lake, Vembanad Kole, these are all severe impact by the dam, which are affecting the water and silt flow. Because these are all wetlands which are natural wetlands. Some of them have been created also. But because of the damming situation, that means artificial way to make a barrage over it so that we can regulate the water from the wetland. That is actually being done particularly for a particular application. Either we generate electricity or we provide the irrigation facilities. All those type of things are there. All things are well justified. Nobody objects. But the problem is this: if we are making it this artificially, with the help of engineering measures, definitely we are stopping the natural habitat of the wetland. This is the real problem with us. In Manipur also same problem we are having it. We have a high barrage, because of that the water goes and electricity generation is there. But still the wetland is really becoming in danger. Then the pollution of the wetlands, the most exciting wetlands have become the receptacle of the urban and rural sewage and industrial pollution. There is a limit. There is a limit of a wetland where the water the waste can be accommodated. But because of the increasing rate of the population, urbanization, definitely these wetlands they will be almost losing their patience. So that means if a more amount of waste are being poured into the wetland, definitely the wetland may not continue to survive it. So this is one of the issues there. Whereas in the beginning we discussed that the wetlands, they are purifying the water, they are managing the waste, but there is a limit of this. Once we cross the limit, the same thing is going to happen for the sea also. They are supposed to be the carbon sink. But once the limit will cross, definitely the sinking will not be no more. So there will be the sea will start becoming dead. These are all situations we are going to face it if we are not going to become conscious. The East Calcutta wetland, Mumbai MMRDA wetlands, Shilka, Lokta, Kashmir, all are falling prey to excessive pollutions. As mentioned by the CAG report, because audit of the accounts is being done, you must have heard also. But the audit of the wetlands also has been started by the ministry right from 2011. So that we can see that really the lake authorities, how far they are sincere enough, how the people are sincere enough, how the municipalities are sincere enough at least to put their waste. So that is why the CAG audits are also there. I will show you one example of the CAG audit also later on. While Bangalore wetlands, they have been in the news for privatization and pollution, they have touched a new low by foaming over and even catching fire. You can see, I think in the media also 1 or 2 years back during the lockdown period, it has been shown that the Bangalore wetlands, they are facing a lot of crisis. You see this the Bellandur lake on the fire, particularly of the Bangalore in May 2015. So this is the way people are trying to make certain social issues and other things. This is very important. This is a Bangalore city and people are facing problems. These are surfing things are coming out from the lake water. And sometimes the situation may reach up to this stage. Okay. So these are some certain things we require to learn it, and as you know that until there's some regulations and laws are not there, you are not able to book a culprit. The culprit means the culprit could be a department, culprit could be a society, culprit could be a group or a corporate. So many things will be there. So there must be a rules and regulations must be there. So in this situation also, Government of India also had framed certain things. So you can see that there are several legal tools which can be used to protect the wetlands. So you have an Indian Fisheries Act and Indian Forest Act. The long listings are there. I think you can see that. And this is actually the institutional mechanism of the Ministry of Environment and Forest. So these are certain things. The guidelines have been coming up right from as early as 1987. in 2009 also. So many things are keep on increasing it, and things are becoming tighten and tighten, so that at least you will have you can really able to control it. And also, once you are framing it, definitely the people are going to be affected. So for that purpose, the funding pattern also is available from the government side. Once you are stopping people to encroach it, definitely you must have some part of the share also. Otherwise, how we are going to play with the life of the people? You must have seen in the lockdown period also how situation comes so much deteriorated when everything is closed. So once we are going to conserve, and once we are going to make so many border issues along the wetlands, definitely the people's habitation, rehabilitation part, we also take care of it. So in February 2013, NWCP, this National Wasteland Programs, they integrated the National Plan for Conservation of the Aquatic Ecosystem. Okay. So principal objective is the holistic concern and restoration of the lake and wetland for achieving desired water quality enhancement beside improvement in biodiversity and ecosystem through an integrated multidisciplinary approach with a common regulatory framework. So this is actually the things. It started in 2013, not very old, but keep on thinking it, and you can see that some funds are also are keeping it for this purpose also, because somebody who wants to restore it, who wants to manage it, at least the funding availability is there. You see this situation of a particular wetland. So NRCP includes pollution abatement of 40 rivers and 121 cities in 19 states, with a sanctioned budget of about 5,779 crores till December 2014. So this program needs urgent audit attentions, because the money is being spent, money is whether it is spent or not, until unless you do not have an audit of all these activities, definitely you cannot improve ourselves. So the auditing part is also very much necessary. A Ganga action plan was there. People are also trying to invest a lot of money from Government of India side also. But until unless the auditing is not being done properly every year, you'll see that how much money was poured and how much water is, how much wetland we are going to conserve it. That part is very important thing is there. Now, this is actually the wetland regulations are there in 2008 up to 2010 also. Ministry of Environment and Forest, they are notified the wetlands as per the rule of 2010. And even if they are also going to regulate the wetlands, particularly the Ramsar listed wetlands, they are taking more care, because it has been done international level. So therefore, we have to take care of those things. So restricted activities within wetlands include reclamation, setting of industry in the vicinity, solid waste dumping, manufacture and storage of hazardous substances. These things are very important part. As a social aspect also, we should try to see that if the wasteland is nearby, I think we should try to avoid all these activities. And the state government also are to submit a brief document identifying and classifying the wetlands in their state, and authority will then assess the wetland. If it is accepted, a central government shall notify as a protected wetland. So there are regulations have been made in our country also, from state to center, and all those things are being taken up there. So therefore, I was telling that the time has come definitely for all of us to really think scientifically for these issues. And likewise, we have many still beginning in our country how to really conserve the wetlands. Now, no regulation for the wetlands less than 500 hectares in plains. So that means if you are having a bigger wetlands, you are going to have lot of facilities, lot of regulations. But if the wetland area is smaller than 500 hectares, definitely society and socially we have to take care of this. This is a very difficult part. As we talk about the large Ganga River, Brahmaputra River basin, we have so many regulatory things. But when you talk of a small stream in a particular hilly block, nobody is taking care of that stream, whether it is getting dried up, or whether it is having some flow, whether it is misused. All those type of things are there. So here also you are having this area of the wetland. If it is more than 500 hectare, People will take care it much better. If it is less than 500 hectares, so that is the reason how in the ISRO report they have seen that how 58% of the wetland have been removed, have been already lost their significance. All those things are happening. So it's not that the bigger wetlands plays a dominant role, but the smaller wetlands are also as important to our life. These are certain regulations are there. I'm not going to go for further details because you may get it from the different places. Now, another thing which I was trying to emphasize it here in this part, the Lake Development Authority. Anywhere, wherever you are having a state level authorities, you are going to develop a lake development authorities. So Rajasthan, Karnataka, Odisha, Manipur, we have constituted the lake development authorities under the various state acts and manage the individual or several lakes. So this, if it comes here, definitely the problem will not be much. We can take care of the smaller wetlands also. But definitely the state government's responsibility is there. If you are having, as I have shown you the map of India, every state is having the wetland. So definitely all the state must try to constitute a lake development authority. So things will definitely come. Okay, all these things we require to see that. Like Kerala Conservation Paddy Act was there, Andhra Pradesh Water and Land Trees Act was there, Jammu Kashmir Wildlife Protection Act. All those things are being taken care, particularly for the management of these wetlands. And sometimes when things goes beyond the control, state government is there, some construction work is there. So we have a judicial interventions also are going to take place, because we have seen it also. In 2014, there was a landmark judgment by the Honorable Bombay High Court. They ordered ban on the reclamation of the construction of any wetland in the state of Maharashtra, because Maharashtra also having a lot of wetlands, and because of the land crisis, there is not much land in Maharashtra, whereas we are having a lot of people, lot of industries, lot of things are there. So people are going for that. So the High Court has given these type of orders. You can take, even you can see that in Delhi also, in Ghaziabad also. Okay. These all places people are trying to give the judicial intervention so that at least these things, even in Guwahati also, municipal corporation, they also have shift the deeper bill damping site following protest of the NGT inquiry. All those things are taking place. That means the legislation is working in the country. Only thing is that we have to mold ourselves scientifically also, socially also, so that we will try to conserve it much better way. You can see that how the situation comes out like this here. The recent battles include National Board of Wildlife clearing a road through a flamingo city, the largest breeding site for flamingos in Asia. The road will take about 80 hectares of the Kutch Desert Sanctuary and will be a source for a continuous disturbance to various species. You can see this. This is the situation. We are making a small developmental project, but how much effect we are going to do that on the wildlife? This is the situation. So again, Gujarat, water from incomplete Narmada distributary canals are being emptied at various intervals into Dal Sarovar. So Gujarat's only Ramsar wetland altering its ecology from June 2015 onwards. You see the situations, how it is being taken place. So this is the part of the audit is being done by the Ministry of Environment and Forest. So the Controller and Auditor General of India, they have included it. So they have this Environment and Forest, they have got different parties are there. They are going to these different areas of the wetland. Sometimes they are going to complete their audits. So these are the things of audit, how the Ministry of Environment and Forest is going to take up all these things. So I'll show you. This is a Dal Lake Management Audit. It has been done in 2011. So Kashmir floods of 2014 can be termed as an ecological disaster. The damage caused to the life and property could have been minimized if the large number of wetland that once existed in the valley has preserved. So eminent Director Dr. Asad Rahmani said in his statement, even the Britishers Maharajas of Kashmir used to consider Wooler as a buffer for the flood where the excess water can be absorbed. So the Wooler Lake, once spread across 20,000 hectares, now remains restricted to 2,400 hectares. You can see that 1/10th geographical area has been reduced to the Wooler Lake. So definitely, when the flood of 2014 might have come, definitely the Wooler Lake could not save that flood. Loss of life, property, so many things have been done. So that is why the management audit has become very, very important for this. Now I will show you some glimpses of of our Loktak Lake also in Manipur, because I was asked to say something about Loktak Lake, but I thought that I must give you a little bit better idea of the wetland national international level. So the Loktak Lake is having a very good application. The implementation of 105 megawatt capacity of the Loktak multi-purpose hydroelectric project was there. And Loktak Development Authority was constituted in 2006 in Manipur, and they have a management action plan for the associated, not only the Loktak Lake, but the other lakes are also included here. And they have got a project monitoring and evaluation committees are also there. They are taking place periodically, and how things are being taken care. So the same thing, Loktak is also doing the similar type of wildlife part is there. I will show you this Shanghai deer that is in the Cable Lemjaw National Park. This is a national park which is located particularly within the Loktak Lake, southern part of the Loktak Lake, and over it a particular type of deer is habiting there. So these are actually the government of Manipur also taken a very good initiative to conserve the Loktak Lake. On 5th April 2006, the Manipur Loktak Act 2006 was passed, whereby the state sought to control the administer the management of Loktak Lake, primarily with the objective of halting the process of degradation of the lake ecosystem and rejuvenate its health. So LDA was formed. You can see this, the World Wetland Day, how it is being celebrated at the Loktak Lake. It's a very nice historical movement for Manipur. And this is the another way the people are thinking nearby, the resident of the Loktak Lake. They are also being called there, and many experts are also being brought there, and they discuss certain things. They visit the sites. All those things are taking place here. You see, the lot of grass and these they are in the lake. So the volunteers, they are clearing it, the passageway of the Yangui Maril, that is the Nambul River is there, which is joining the Loktak Lake. So how they are going to do that? It's a very tough job conducting by the villagers, by the people who are of the same area, because this is submerged area and the grass is just over it. So clearing it is also a difficult task. You can see this, the lake, particularly a lot of biodiversity is there. And the lower side you can see that this is the Shanghai deer, which is residing particularly on the Cable Lemjaw National Park, which is the part of Loktak Lake. So this species also, the number is slowly increasing it, and the forest department, wildlife sanctuary, they are taking care of it. And this is the fishermen, how they are doing it, and particularly this grass, which we call them locally as a fomdi. So they are making the temporary huts also over it there. So the people, tourists also can go there. They can stay for a few hours and come back. It's a very different type of experience the people are going to get it. And this is actually the Thai barrage, from where the water is being regulated, particularly for generation of the hydroelectric power from there. And this is the way of the Fomdi. They have got some machineries also are there in local development authorities. So gradually they are going to clear it from the, this is the lake water. They are on the border side, and slowly they are removing it. So this biomass, they are going to get it there. And sometime when the Fomdi is clear, they will try to clear it. So this is the boat ride inside the Fomdi waterways. So what road ahead is there for us due to the complexities, wetlands come across as the least governed situation. There is no specific act to protect them. Only the wetland rules are inadequate and under the review. This is also a problem. It is also, again, in the beginning in our country. So that definitely we have to improve it. We have to sensitize the people. We have to sensitize the government machinery. Everything we have to do that. So ownership of the water and land vests with the state, but the states do not seem enthusiastic in participating in the central program. This is also somewhere communication problem and some things are there. Then NRCP, NLCP, the NWCP need stringent auditing and performance of the output, because money is being invested. Until unless we will not do the auditing of the activities, scientific activities, mechanical activities, how do we know where we have reached? So this is a very important part to assess it. Specific issues between state and center need to be identified and highlighted. Separate audits of management of Ramsar wetlands. I think the time has come. We have to be very careful, quite serious also. And they need to focus not only on the water quality, but hydrology, catchment area, buffer zones, species, and the land dealings. This is the most dangerous term, because the people are taking advantage from these situations. And the audit of functioning of wetland rules needs to be performed, and also process for implementing the acts. So how do we increase space and people's participation in the management and the decision making of their wetlands? Thank you very much. I have almost completing the lecture at around 12 o'clock. I will definitely appreciate if there is some questions. I don't know.
So, thank you, sir. In the chat box, people have said that the presentation is very informative, and they like to have a copy of the presentation as well as.
I will share with you, madam. I will share you. I will mail you this presentation. No problem.
And also ask the contact number of the speaker. So that's up to you, sir.
Thank you very much. And, most welcome. Everyone is most welcome.
Yes, sir. Everyone is saying that it's very informative, and thank you, sir, for your a broad, general, in-depth, actually not general, but in-depth understanding of the wetlands in India, as well as the rules and regulation that is going on presently in India, and those the road ahead, the future things that we should do to conserve for sustainable use of wetland. Next speaker on the line is Dr. Askar Nawab, Program Head, Aquatic Ecology, Wetland International, New Delhi. Actually, Wetland International is also observing their World Wetland Day today, but sir has besides his busy schedule, sir has agreed for speaking in this webinar. So thank you so much for accepting our request, and I hope you are serving both the institute, your institute and our institute, in widening the knowledge of conservation of wetlands. So the platform is all yours, and I would like to announce that at present the presentation is going live on YouTube also. If you permit, we'll go ahead, otherwise we'll stop, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's really an honor and my pleasure to be a part of your event. And indeed, it's quite a busy day for us, but nonetheless, that it's something very important and something really great for us to celebrate. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Askar Nawab, and I work with Wetlands International South Asia. At the outset, I thank Dr. Pradeep K. Bora, Dr. Victoria Devi, and the faculty of Northeastern Regional Institute of Water and Land Management for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to interact with you all. So the talk that I'm going to present is a very generic one, and it is titled Conservation and Sustainable Use of Wetlands. The talk actually popularizes the idea to value wetlands for their multiple benefits and strike a balance between their wise use and environmental functioning to sustain both. So wetlands can be of different shapes and sizes. They are cradles of biological diversity and vital for human survival. Wetlands are managed for wise use, which involves maintenance of the ecological character that is achieved through the implementation of ecosystem approaches within the context of sustainable development. Wetlands support a host of animal and plant life. Estimates suggest approximately 40% of the world's plant and animal species live or breed in wetlands. The Zoological Survey of India enlists 6,200 species from the Ramsar sites, which represent a major share of the known diversity. That includes 1/3 of mammals, 1/5 of reptiles, and 2/3 of birds. In 2005, 82-kilometer stretch in the Upper Ganga in Bulandshahr district in Uttar Pradesh was designated as a Ramsar site to conserve the iconic Gangetic dolphins. This is perhaps the first and the only example of a river Ramsar site in the world. A 115-kilometer stretch from Chilmil Tal in Uttarakhand to Hasnapur Wildlife Sanctuary in Uttar Pradesh forms a floodplain wetlands, and these wetlands serve as suitable habitat corridor for migration of species such as the swamp deer. India is notable among the Central Asian flyway countries, and the many wetlands provide as convenient stopover and wintering areas for migratory birds. Whether it is food and water security, climate change, health, disaster risk, or economic development, wetlands are critically important for human survival. Aquaculture is the fastest growing food production sector, while rice paddies feed 3.5 billion people annually. It is estimated that an acre of inland wetland absorbs around 1.5 million gallons of flood water. This helps regulate water flows and prevent floods and droughts. Wetlands safeguards coastal communities against storm surges, hurricanes, and tsunamis. Some serious water-mediated risk. Wetlands are most efficient land-based carbon stores, and peatlands are known to store twice as much carbon as forests. Wetlands provide us peace tied to interacting with nature. But natural wetlands are disappearing 3 times faster than forest ecosystems. India has maximum wetlands in South Asia, roughly 7.7 lakhs, which covers about 4.6% of the geographical area of the country. However, in the last 3 to 4 decades, 30% of the natural wetlands in India have been lost, mainly due to land use changes, over-extraction of water, over-exploitation of biota, pollution, climate change. And not only this, also challenges such as lack of awareness and knowledge on wetlands ecosystems forms a major hurdle in wetlands conservation. We are facing a growing freshwater crisis that threatens people and biodiversity. About 2.2 billion people worldwide go without safe drinking water. In India, climate-related disasters, particularly floods, have caused damages amounting to rupees $54.63 billion, an estimate from 1990 to 2017. It is also assessed that 1% increase in floods can reduce economic growth by 2.7%, further adding to food insecurity in India. Almost 25% of wetland-dependent species worldwide are threatened with extinction. Fires caused by drained wetlands account for an estimated 4% of global anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions. Wetlands used as cost-effective, nature-based solutions provide environmental and socio-economic benefits to people locally and regionally. Nature-based solutions is an umbrella concept under the CBD. It uses or mimics natural processes to reduce water-mediated risk. Nature-based solutions are cost-effective and efficient way to offer solutions augmenting groundwater recharge, soil moisture retention, water purification, and hazard buffers. Nature-based solution broadly falls under 5 categories, which includes restorative, that is ecological restoration, landscape restoration, and ecological engineering. Issue-specific, related to ecosystem-based adaptations, ecosystem-based mitigations, or even ecosystem-based disaster risk reduction. Infrastructure, which includes natural infrastructure and primarily green infrastructure. Management relates to integrated wetlands management, such as integrated coastal zone management and integrated water resources management. Protection. This is more area-based conservation approaches, which are site-specific, that includes protected area management and other effective area-based conservation measures. Different ranges of wetland ecosystem services are broadly addressed by the Sustainable Development Goals. However, target-based assessments are required to better understand wetland functionality for sustainable development. Enhanced policy coherence and intersectoral synergies are advised for integrated environmental governance. To sum up, thus attempts can be made to restore lost and degraded wetlands by supporting conservation of biologically rich wetlands, by designating them as biodiversity heritage sites under the Biological Diversity Act, documentation of wetland values in People Biodiversity Register by Diversity Management Committees under the Biological Diversity Act of 2002. High time to expand wetlands network by recognizing them under a distinct land use category and recording them in land use records. Identify and designate wetlands under various other effective area-based conservation measures and categories. Encourage wetlands conservation through global and national initiatives. Very important to spread the word through programs such as Cities for Forests, Asian Waterbird Census, and Smart Cities program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Your presentation was really good, and then we could hear the voice very clearly, though there was lots of drops in the phone call between you and me in today's phone call. Yes, sir. But it's not happening. And then, the presentation has directly linked with the Sustainable Development Goals, how the wetlands can be linked with the Sustainable Development Goal, which we have to achieve by performing activities. Sir, my question to you is, what are the activities that is done by Wetland International, New Delhi, because we skip that introductory part and we just jump into the business of presentation. So can you please share with us the activities or the mandate or objectives of Wetland International, New Delhi, sir?
Precisely, ma'am. In fact, ma'am, I'm really happy to inform the audience that Wetlands International South Asia is celebrating its silver jubilee this year. So we are a 25-year-old organization in India, and as the name suggests, we are working for wetlands conservation across the country and across South Asia. So the primary objective of Wetlands International Asia is to advocate for the wetlands wise use, prepare management plans, carry out capacity building programs, and also help the government in preparing management plans and action plans for the conservation of wetlands across the country. So apart from the management activities, we are also very much into the research activities, which includes conservation of wetlands and the biodiversity from the wetlands in the Himalayas till down south in the certain parts of the country. So we also work closely with the communities, and we also help in propagating the wetlands as nature-based solutions for water-mediated disaster risk management. So there's a whole lot of work that Wetlands International is carrying out.
Sir, one question has come, and I don't know to whom we should address, but the question says that virgin wetland in many areas are dying naturally due to detritus, and many are dying due to anthropogenic sins. What are rejuvenation plans and success stories in India? Virgin wetlands are dying naturally due to detritus, and many other are dying due to anthropogenic sins. So what are the rejuvenation plans and success stories in India?
Can I take this question, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Okay. So the dying of wetlands is something really unfortunate, and as I had pointed out in my presentation earlier. So among all the drivers of change, perhaps the lack of knowledge and the willpower to conserve wetlands is one of the biggest challenges or hurdles in wetlands conservation. So wetland drying for a certain part of the year is okay, as it helps rejuvenate the wetland in with certain aspects. However, a wetland being completely lost is a grave problem, and there are instances in the country, and particularly in the recent times, such as where all of us know that the floods in Chennai, floods in Maharashtra, the floods in the upper reaches of the Himalaya, they have all been accelerated and have caused huge damages to the economy and the people of the country. There are several organizations that have been working for the conservation of the wetlands, and some of the iconic examples, I would say, are the conservation of the floodplain wetlands of River Yamuna by by the Yamuna Biodiversity Park, an organization of the Delhi University. Other than this, there are some great examples of work from across the country, from Bihar, from from Himachal Pradesh, from Sikkim, and the Himalayas. In fact, from Himachal Pradesh, there's a wetland called Chandatal wetland, wherein Wetlands International has worked extensively and has produced a wetlands management document for the state wetlands authority to monitor the health of the wetlands.
थोड़ा थोड़ा कम कीजिए भैया, थोड़ा कम कीजिए हाँ, आवाज़ तो मैं. Yeah, one participant has written like this. I just want to express my appreciation and congratulations to all for organizing such an informative webinar. Really glad that I took part in this webinar and looking forward to join more such webinar in the near future. So a very positive response from our participants, sir. And I hope we are disseminating some of the knowledge we do not
Glad
know.
to hear this.
Yes, a very positive response from the participants.
Much appreciated.
Yes, sir. So many more questions may come up. If the next presenter, Engineer Pranta Bhagawati, is on the line, shall we call him for the presentation? Sir, Pranta Bhagawati, sir, are you present, sir? Are you on the line or you are? Pranta Bhagawati, sir? He was present actually in the morning. I saw her. Meantime, any questions? Yeah. Any questions from the participants? Please share your questions so that we can discuss. The experts are here with us. Sir, if Arun Kumar sir is with us, I would like to put a question to Arun Kumar sir. I belong to Manipur, and I always heard that Loktak, the beauty of Loktak, we called it the Loktak as a goddess, and but people are also hundreds and hundreds of people are getting their livelihood from the Loktak. But on the other hand, in the name of development, we have built these Ithai barrages, and many of the people are against the Ithai barrages because they said blocking of the flow of the river, flow of the lake, the water flow of the lake, cause lots of harm. One is flooding in the upper side of Imphal, and another is outflow of the water hygiene or fish and everything from Brahma to Manipur or from Manipur to Brahma. So, sir, what is your take on this, sir?
Dr. Victoria, you are 200% correct. Whatever you have spoken, it is fact. And now it is up to Loktak Development Authority how judiciously they are negotiating with NHPC, who is the authority for generating the electricity. I tell you a very small story here. Loktak project was commissioned in 1984-85. And by the time now we are in 2022, so definitely all money which was spent to construct the Loktak project must be recovered by them. Now they are hardly having a maintenance cost of about some 30-40 paisa per unit, and they are selling about 3 rupees per unit. Definitely the huge difference in the profit of the NHPC from Loktak project at least should be shared for the rehabilitation and the development of the Loktak lake. But since one is a public undertaking, another one is a state government authority, so we have to see that how Loktak Development Authority and the government of Manipur can negotiate with NHPC. This is you have asked a very very burning question, and I think we should try to address it very systematically here. So LDA and government of Manipur has to play a very significant role. And as you also know that nowadays from these different electricity project authorities, the electricity goes to the power grid, and the power grid controls by the private ventures. So many complications are there. So therefore NHPC, they are not bothering at all. They are simply thinking that how much maximum amount of generation of the electricity can be done. So this is the conflict of the interest, and the government of Manipur has to be very careful for these things.
Sir, at one point of time, even the governor of Manipur, they have
Yes,
said
yes,
like
yes,
that
yes.
they will dismantle the Ithai Beres. She had given the statement like that, but though it's not dismantled because it
But
has
nothing
got
happens now because NHPC is a public undertaking, and they have a bigger role to play because infrastructure means electricity. You cannot stop it.
Yes, sir,
There,
yes.
there are certain issues are there. LDA has to be very careful for these things. Best way is this. And Manipur, you also are aware. A lot of social movements are also there. But everything is there, and then they do decide something here and there, and then lot of lake area also is being encroached by the villagers with all government administration interference. So many things are happening.
I came across one documentary film that was based on the Loktak Laima,
Acha, acha.
and it even got an award also.
Are
And-
wonderful, congratulations.
Yes, it was. It has a subtitle in English also. And
Acha, acha,
there,
acha,
the movie. When I saw the movie, it was very.
Please share it to me on email. Then
Yes,
I
sir,
will also
yes, sir,
enjoy.
sure, sir. And in the movie, they have shown how the Loktak Lake served as a livelihood, and not only livelihood,
Yeah.
it's a way of life for a
Yes,
group of
yes.
people, who
Yes.
are living in that place.
Yeah.
And later on, due to the coming up of the phumdis or the like encroachment,
Yes,
or
yes.
lots of fishing, like what
Yes.
called like artificial fishing and all.
Yes,
It
yes.
has created a havoc to the wetland, and
Yes.
so the police force had tried to destroy those encroachment. So
Yeah,
like so there was lots of from the peaceful life,
Yes.
for earning livelihood or way of life, it has turned into a war situation kind.
It was there. It was there. Yeah. We know.
Yeah, so it was a war-like situation, and
Yes,
so
yes,
the
yes.
movie shows about how the people living in the Loktak Lake try to solve their problems, because the government is not hearing, and they want to live with the lake because they, since childhood, they are with the lake, and with,
Yes,
with
yes,
that
yes.
they are living their lifestyle, and their lifestyle, their way of thinking, their culture, everything is based on the river, on the lake. So they try to protect it.
Yes.
So, but later on, people become frustrated. No, that movie was showing in such a way
It's
like
a
it
interesting
is a
thing. I think
goddess,
you have
you know.
you have taken lot of pains and collecting data, incidences. Please share me on the email.
Sure, sir.
Or maybe on the YouTube, I will try to find out.
Yes, sir, sir. And from Dr. Hussain from Upper Yamuna River Board, he has commented that, thank you, Dr. Askar Nawab. It is very informative and excellent presentation. And then another person from Rakesh Das also said, nicely explained and actually help us a lot. And everyone has said, Arun Kumar sir had already shared his mobile number, and people have appreciated for getting the they said, thank you sir for providing the mobile number. So that is also written, sir.
I welcome everyone who wants to call. No problem.
Sir. Is Pranta Bhagavati on the line, sir? Pranta?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sir, if you are present, shall we, because we are little going ahead from the scheduled time actually, not late, but little going ahead actually. So, we would like to hear you from, let me announce that Engineer Pranta Bhagawati, he himself is an assistant executive engineer in the Department of Agriculture, but his hobby and passion is on migratory birds. So, so the engineer has lots of connection not only with the things but with the creatures, the natural creatures, that is the birds. So he has been a good observer of the birds in Assam, and he has got good collections of photographs and a very good and a shoal connection with the migratory birds. So it's a passion for him, a hobby for him, and that is a thing. So I request the engineer Pranta Bhagawati to present on the safe wetland to save migratory birds. Sir, please.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and good afternoon. And thanks, NERIWALM team, for giving me the opportunity to give a little view about the migratory birds in Assam or in India or their habitat, etc. So I'm going to present a small presentation actually on birds. I'm not an expert, but still, as it's a hobby for me to engage myself in photography of birds. So I'm going to show you some birds, and right now for the extent decreasing of the wetlands in Assam or in India or everywhere in the world, the migratory birds faces lots of problem for them. So I'm going to present here my presentation. Here is my presentation, Safe Wetland to Save Migratory Birds. Actually, in Assam, there are 46 numbers of important bird areas which were identified by Bombay National History of Science and Birdlife of India. These are very much important for the migratory birds and resident birds of India. In Assam, 46 this type of important bird areas are there, and out of 46, most of the important bird areas are wetlands of Assam. So wetland is a very important part for the balancing the biodiversity of nature. Wetlands plays many important roles, such as for maintaining the biodiversity.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Sir, excuse me, sir. We are not getting your PowerPoint, sir.
Oh.
Your PowerPoint.
Sorry. One PowerPoint. Okay, just a minute. Are you getting something?
Not yet.
Share your PowerPoint presentation. Share.
Okay, I'm sharing already. Share this. Okay. It share. It was
share your screen.
Share content. It is share one. Share.
कौन सी नंबर चलो
Actually, here got a little bit of connection problem, network problem.
कौन सा नंबर में पूछा नहीं आपका कौन सा नंबर से
इंस्ट्रक्शन दे दो उसको
Hello.
Sir, I'm still from
Okay.
Yes, sir, it's coming now.
It's coming.
इसका
Okay. A little bit of network problem here in Dhemaji actually, where I'm right now. Okay, it's going now? Okay. Okay, actually, sorry for the delay. Wetland plays many important roles among us to protect the biodiversity of nature. It also maintain and lowering the floods also. It also helps up of the stream of the water, and there are many types of medicinal plants also grows with so and high storage of the local fish in the local people depend on. So in the winter, there are lots of migratory birds used to come to Assam and in India. It used to seem that near about more than 100.
Your slide is not moving, sir. Slide is not moving.
Okay. Okay. Is it moving?
Yes.
Okay. Here are some birds which used to come to Assam and in India. Migratory birds used to take some rest while they are migrate from a long distance. India, they first came to the southern India, then come to northern side and the eastern side of Assam. In Assam's wetlands are mainly attractive. Mainly in Assam, we used to see that many types of snipe or small like birds used to visit Assam. We used to see red-headed goose, bar-headed goose, many types of small birds, small ducks in the wetlands of Assam during October to March or April. Here we see some bar-headed goose and common green ducks. These are migratory birds which came from tundra regions of Siberia, and in the winter time they used to come to India and Assam. And this is one of the bloody shell duck, one of the most beautiful duck which used to visit to Assam and India during the winter season. These birds are usually come in flocks and used to live in pairs. These are called sakoi sukwa in Assamese. It's a very valuable bird. And again, there are some lots of native birds also which are used to live in the wetlands of Assam. These are called lesser whistling ducks. This is bar-headed goose and common green skunks. And there are one type of pelican which used to Assam. There are one is spot-billed pelican and grey-headed lapwings, which are migratory birds used to come to in winter in Assam. And these are some more beautiful ducks which used to come to Assam, which is gargni and tufted duck. And these are some birds, small birds, used to come during the winter from South China to Assam's few wetlands of Assam. This is brown and ruddy-breasted crag. These birds used to stay in the winter time in Assam and again go back to their origin. This is there are lots of big flocks of birds used to, and these are also the same birds. And this is open-bill stook and glossy ibis. This is native birds, and other one is Pacific golden plover. This is one of the birds which used to come first in very early time in about September or October to India and Assam. So this type of one thing we have of global temperature and global warming or change of natures, these birds feels not so much comfortable during the winter times. So in upcoming days, the number of migratory birds will be decreasing soon. And this is little ring plover. These birds stay here in the wetlands of Assam, and one is common teal. This is migratory birds. And in the wetlands of Assam, we can see lots of birds nested here, and they increases their populations. These are now vulnerable birds. Their numbers are 2021. They visited in one wetlands of Assam. Only one bird came here last year. Also, like birds, spotted red sun. These birds also used to migrate and stays during the winters in Assam. And this is graded swamp hen, and this is Ferruginous pusard. These are migratory birds. This is green sandpiper and little stint. These are also small sandpiper-like birds which used to come during the winter time in Assam and India. And this is bronzewing the chakana, which is 6. These birds also breed. This is native bird of India or Assam. These birds breed in our wetlands, and due to destroy of the wetlands, their populations are going down. This is a very beautiful bird. Also, the red-crested posa is also a migratory bird used to come to India and Assam during the winter time. And these are ruby shell ducks. These are also migratory birds used to come. And in this this photo was taken by me in last week of October 2021. They are not feeling comfortable because of the very high heat of that day. They do not they do not expect this type of weather during the winter time. Actually, this is one of the reasons the global warming or increase of summer days, their numbers are decreasing. The migratory birds numbers are decreasing now. This is also bronzewing jacana with 2 and these are common teals. These are also very beautiful birds used to visit India. And these are spotted red sunks. This is common green sunk. It's also a beautiful bird, snipe-like bird used to visit in Assam's wetlands. And these are also common snipes. These are also migratory birds used to come. And this is large cormorant. It's lots of these in the wetlands of Assam. It's a native bird. This is common snipe. Okay, this was my presentation about the birds, and actually due to destroy of wetlands in this year in Kaziranga bird count in December 2021, it has been observed that according to the authority of the Kaziranga Forest Department, more than 25,000 less numbers of ducks this year present in Kaziranga. So it is seen that due to in Assam many big wetlands where used the most of the migratory birds used to comes. We call it bill. We can see there are Dipor bill in Guwahati, Pani Dihing in Sibsagar district, Sandubi in Guwahati, and Sona bill and Samagri bill, Murpur bill, Som bill. This is the largest wetland in Assam. This is situated in Karimganj. And again, one of the most attraction for the migratory birds is Maguri bill in Tinsukia district and Dipor bill in Guwahati. So we have observed during last few years in Dipor bill, due to the damping ground by the authority, the number of migratory birds are decreasing year by year. And in Maguri bill also, due to some works of some oil or some ONGC company like that, the numbers of migratory birds are decreasing very fast. So, if we not going to protect the wetlands, otherwise, in upcoming futures, many migratory birds will not come to the Assam, because if they are not getting the wetlands, they will change their path or change their place of migration. And migration is also an important part for the birds. If they stop migrations, they will be idle and they will die. So for protect these beautiful birds and all these research, we have to protect our wetlands and so thanking you. This was my presentation and thanks again.
Sir, let me read out one of the chat box that has come from the Chief Engineer BOBO, Central Water Commission, Shillong. It says, wonderful collection of aquatic bird photographs by Engineer Pranta Bhagwati. Hard work by him. Thanks. So it's a compliment, complimentary comment coming from the CWC Shillong. And I would like to request the participants, if they have any questions, they can use they can unmute their mic and can ask also without putting in the chat box also. Any questions from the participants?
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Victoria. So from my side, actually, there is no question, only remarks I want to give. That Engineer Prantor shared his nice collection with us. I always observe his postings in social media in Facebook. He collected so many things, and I know his interest on birds, migratory birds. So I wish that his hobby should continue, and in future programs also, so that he may more such items.
Yes,
on birds, on wetlands, so for letting us. So thank you, Engineer Prantor, for
Thanks.
your
You're welcome.
nice
Thank you.
presentation.
Yeah. Since no questions has come from the participants, let me thank you to all the resource person and the participants for sharing their precious time with NERIWALM on this World Wetland Day. And then I hope we have gained some knowledge regarding the conservation of wetland. Throughout the webinar, from the beginning of Arun Kumar sir's lecture, then the Askar Nawab sir, and then Prantor presentation, we come to the conclusion that we have shared some of the data of wetland. We also have discussed about the functions of wetland, like we are not considering wetland not only for storing the water, but it also serve other purposes like flooding and all those things, as also including livelihood. We discussed about the regulations and act to conserve wetland in India. We discussed about the aesthetic value of wetland, institutional mechanisms such as Lake Development Authority that has been developed in states like Odisha, Rajasthan and Manipur for the conservation of wetlands. We talk about the linking of wetland with sustainable development goal, how we can achieve this sustainable development goal as a mission, so, for poverty reduction or getting water for everyone. This has been discussed by linking with wetland. At the individual level, the experience from an individual level, through Pranta sir's presentation, we come across how important wetland plays and how important the wetland plays a role for giving shelter to the migratory birds. And from the laws, from the present situation, from the human beings, from the creatures, everything has been linked with wetland. So on this day, let us remember that wetland should be conserved, and we should make it as use it as an important component of our life, so that it can be used sustainably, so that it can be like rejuvenate whenever it is necessary. For this we need financial, political and people's action from time to time. I am very happy when Dr. Askar Nawab said that their institute is also helping the government for giving plannings as well as framing action plans for conserving the wetlands. So I hope we all can meet together in one platform from here or there, and then we can work together for conserving the wetland, and this will harmonize our place, not only for human being but also for all the creatures that is also serving on the wetland. I'm thankful to our director NERIWALM for giving for taking a very for taking the initiative for organizing such webinars. I thank all the resource person for sharing their valuable time during the presentation. Their presentations were quite informative, and we hope that from those presentations we'll also look forward for carrying out some activities in the future. I thank all the participants who have shared here and who had already registered, or also who had been hearing since 10:40. I thank them for sharing their precious time and joining us with NERIWALM for the observation of World Wetland Day related to Bharat Ka Amrit Mahotsav, India @ 75. Thank you. Thank you everyone.